mic's off. Okay.
Yeah.
Howdy, thanks for being here.
Sure.
You talked about social justice a lot, and that seems to be kind of the underpinning of a lot of this. And back in the primaries earlier this year,
mic, Mitchell.
it's not on.
Yeah.
We'll turn it on.
Back in the primaries, Bernie Sanders was texting a lot of people, and he texted this to my friend. They were trying to get him to vote for Bernie, and he asked, "Is Bernie Christian?" And they replied, the Bernie campaign, "Bernie is a proud Jewish American and a proud member of the tradition of Jewish social justice." So just want to know what your thoughts are on that.
I can't say what I think of it in mixed, polite company, but it's baloney. Come on. He's a communist. He's a communist. And, you know, and it's interesting. I asked a Jewish friend of mine once, I said, you know, it's so against your interests. Why do so many of you Jews vote for Democrats? And she looked at me like, why do so many of you WASPs vote for Democrats? I said, well, you got a good point, actually. But the truth of the matter is, you know, people talk about Jewish and Islam. If you're a communist, you're a communist first. So the Jewish people who run the New York Times are not running it as Jewish people. They are running it as communists. And because, I mean, they would like to see the state of Israel destroyed. These Jewish leaders of the New York Times would love to see the state of Israel destroyed. Why? Because Israel is the best ally to the United States in the Middle East. It's all about. It's all about pushing the communist world government agenda. That's it. Nothing more than that. And so just forget about the whole Jewish thing. It's pointless. Next.
If y'all want to ask questions, you need to be in line. No need to waste time.
Okay, sorry. And I have a question. Yeah, I'm learning. And so what about the Rockefellers? Big players and all this, and you look at lockstep in that 54-page document from May 2010, this is what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Rockefeller, a lot of those people are globalists. And, you know, early on, I quoted Willie Munzenberg talking about organizing the intellectuals. Notice if you study communism, they always talk about how the workers of the world are going to revolt, right? Well, what workers of the world want to get involved in a revolution? They're too busy working. They're not interested in that. They're interested in taking care of their families and going to work. They didn't want a decent wage, but beyond that, no. The communists never deluded themselves into believing that the workers of the world were going to unite behind them. Willie Munzenberg said, we got to organize the intellectuals. And why the intellectuals? Why? Because they're so easy to flatter. They're big, fat egos and conceit that they know more than everybody else and can be suckered into buying into a plan that's a joke on its face. That's why. And because they have influence. If they are in classrooms, in universities, in publications, that's why. They would have influence and they could be flattered. You know, there's two ways of living life. You can live a life based on belief in God and know that God is king, or you can live a life on pride and think that you're king. We know which one is right. But the ones who believe the other way, their pride, I mean, it's no mistake, the pride heads the list of the 7 deadly sins, because it's a killer. Ma'am?
I became an American citizen because I wanted to vote against President Clinton, and so my first vote was for President Bush. And now I wonder what I actually did, because he's the one who said Islam is a religion of peace. And so I see this pattern to go back into our political local communities also, where we'll take the Trojan horse into our community. And so I live in the city of Cloward, and it's a very lovely community. We just had 3,000 people come to this little place. It was a very peaceful time, but the people took in the Black Lives Matter. They're selling the signs now for our community. And I am so distraught to have I don't know where to tell my neighbors that is not an organization of peace. But my big question is, everything is kind of, you stirred a lot of things in my head. What is the GOP doing about this kind of, and it looks to me like many leaders in the GOP may also be communists to me.
Amen.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of covert bad guys that join our side to mess us up. I think that's right. And then there's a bunch that are just cowards, let's face it, and self-interested and don't really want to tackle the hard questions. I ran for Congress this spring, and the election was last Tuesday. There were 7 GOP primary candidates. Well, only one wins, and I wasn't him. But most of the people in that race were, well, at least a couple of us anyway, were real fighters. The guy who won, of course, was the incumbent state senator who has proven himself to be just, he'll go whichever way the wind blows, and whichever way the leadership wants him to go. The leadership of the party in that state is so screwed up it doesn't even beyond description.
Party's corrupt.
Party's corrupt.
Party's corrupt.
It is.
The incumbents that are
If we're going to do
good,
this, that's right.
and you can't trust the vote.
And if we're going to do
Trust the
this,
Republican vote.
if we're going to
We
do
need
this,
do something.
we're going to do this the right way, we're going to have to literally overthrow most of these GOP organizations and put real people in.
Yes.
But you know
I
what?
agree with that.
And I sit there and look at how high that mountain is, and, overwhelming, really. It looks to me like a 1,000-foot tidal wave coming at me. I realized something in this campaign, that when I started to get depressed, trying to figure out how I would deal with all this stuff, the answer was, I don't deal with it. I can't do it. It's beyond me. God can do it.
Come on.
We've got to have God's in charge. We have to recognize that. And if He is with us, who can be against us?
That's right.
I was going to ask about people like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, and it seems like they're really into the socialist agenda. But you may have already answered my question, because if there's someone has their ear and they're flattering them.
Yeah, Bill Gates was very good at stealing other people's ideas on how to make a computer and how to make an operating system. I don't know that he's much good at anything else. And he's really not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. Yes, sir.
I'm going to build on that a little bit. Why aren't there public fractures among this unholy alliance of, doesn't make sense why there are Muslims, homosexuals, communists, Silicon Valley elites? They have different objectives, you would think, but the alliance stands.
No, they don't have different objectives. The rank and file Muslims object, The rank-and-file Muslims aren't the ones in charge. The ones in charge are all on the same page with the agenda. Why? Remember, the issue is never the issue. The issue is always a revolution. The goal is to destroy our country. And they don't care how they do it. They use all these various issues, and in fact, pitting one person against the next person. In fact, a big part of the thing that, and I saw this, and it worried me right from the beginning, and I know this is what they're doing. They take this population that has the potential to be dangerous, but for most of our history, it's just been Americans. Now they get them into the mosques with the fiery fundamentalist imams, and they start the recruitment process. Then things change, and what they do is they put us in a position, a terrible position. We have to accept the fact that we have a First Amendment that allows for freedom of religion, while we're watching these people deliberately undermining and setting a sizable proportion of our country against itself. Yes, sir.
I just want to add to what you just said, that this, what they are doing, is not a revolution, it's a retrolution. Everything is brought down to a standard of life worse than anything anyone can happen. But they are out there in the streets. They are the ones preaching their religion, which is, to many of them, that's what it is. We are the revolutionaries. We are the ones that have the way of life. But we do not get out and attack. The best defense is a good attack. But we let them have the streets, and I don't mean that we need to be there violently, but we let them have the streets, and now we learn what I learned in my country for birth. I was lost to Castro, that whoever controls the streets and controls the press controls the government.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I agree with you. Well, as Lenin said, the organized minority will be the disorganized majority every time. And that's really true. We're disorganized. We don't have a financial incentive directly, individually, in being organized. They do. They have a very big incentive, and they all get paid. I mean, those revolutionaries, those clowns out on the street there, they're not doing it, they're getting paid. $15, $20, $25 an hour to be out there. They're getting paid. We're going out there because we mean it, because we feel it, and risking our lives because they have said they want to break bones, gouge eyes. Well, yeah, well, that's the issue. We don't have a we. You know, they have a we, which is a network, vast network of organizations with billions of dollars. We don't have a we like that. And the trouble is, on our side, we get together something like that, and we're immediately attacked by the press, which makes people who are somewhat timid less inclined to join because, heck, they don't want to be involved with some racist group, some bigoted group. You know, so that's the problem, and it's hard to overcome. We were very adamant. We elected a very good president, and I hope he can lead us to the place where we need to go. I hope he can. I hope he's not stopped. I hope he can. Because I think he knows what our issues are, and he knows, or he has some ideas on how to fix them. But he needs support also. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Bernie. It's my first true Texas meeting. So, I have a question leads into something that I saw out there. You know, like, for me, you know, young guy, young family man, we're typically pretty busy, I volunteer a lot. But I see what's happening in the country, like, you know, burning our flags, the rhetoric that's coming out there, obviously, anti-moral if you're a Christian. And, yeah, it drives me crazy, right? I'm a service connected dad, I work for Border Patrol, I've been local Leo, served the country in some facets most of my life up until the point where medical I can't. But I look at my children, like, what are we leaving behind for them? And you had something in your, I thought it was a good word in your PowerPoint, talked about partisan tolerance, right? Because even most conservative, right, especially in the younger generation, you have some areas where we want to understand and we want to listen to what you have to say, and I totally agree, but I'm not going to beat you down for it, right? Because we're taught to be polite. And I think as Christians we do that too. But I think on a political spectrum, which is one reason why I came out today, it's like, what are we doing about it? Because as long as you continue to let the rhetoric, right, I guess we can't stop it, but I don't feel like we're doing anything to combat it. And at the younger level, it's now become socially appropriate. Like, say, if you want to get on Facebook, you want to get on Twitter, you want to get on these applications that touch so many people that they're spewing all this hate and rhetoric on, at least I consider it that way. It's like, you can't fight back, or if you do, but if your job sees, you may end up losing your job if you got a good corporate job, right? And so, it's like, how do we fight back at this and stop being so tolerant without, you know, having to risk so much? It seems like, you know, if we're old and retired, maybe it's easier because, hey, you know, we're set. But for the younger generation coming in, corporate,
It's hard.
you may get called
No, it's hard. It's hard. You know, there's an economic term. It's called rational ignorance. You know, we wonder why people are so ignorant about everything that's going on. It's not because they really don't know, it's because they don't want to know. And why don't they want to know? Because they feel powerless. They feel overwhelmed, and they feel like, what can I do? I have to raise a family, I have to work, I have to do this, that, and the other thing. And all of my knowledge, if I were to not stay ignorant, yet become educated, that would force me to confront the idea that maybe I have to do something. And, you know, sometimes it's hard enough just to survive and do what we got to do every day. So we are at a disadvantage. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I don't pull many punches on Facebook or Twitter or any of those. I'm pretty straightforward. But then again, this is really what I've chosen to do for my life. So writing and speaking and, I wanted to be a congressman, darn it. It was 2-to-1 Democrat, Republican in that district anyway, so it was a pretty tall order, but no, actually, I decided to run because I've been shut down so many times, had events threatened and shut down, canceled at the last minute, that I felt like, you're not going to stop me from speaking, and if the only way I can do it is to run for Congress, well, I will have a voice that nobody can silence, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I did. I didn't win, but that was a big part of my purpose, because we really need a voice. And there's all kinds of answers, there's all kinds of ideas out there. You know, we should have our own network. I actually said something to somebody once who speaks to the president, and I suggested to him that the president should have weekly fireside chats with the people and force the networks to broadcast it. And if the network said no, you can say, well, guess what? There's a requirement in the FCC regulations that if you have an FCC license, you have to provide unbiased news. So you let me on there, or I'm going to pull your FCC license, because you guys have been doing. And he said, oh no, you can never say that. You never say that. Well, 2 weeks later, after he talked to the president was in a press conference. He said, yeah, maybe I ought to just pull all your FCC licenses.
Good idea.
It was a very good idea. You could do it. You could do it. And it is, I mean, it's true. They've never taken advantage of that.
Hi, my name is Jackie. This is my first meeting with you guys as well. I learned about the supporter of his. And while I'm watching all the news through the COVID and everything, and wondering why these governors are wanting to just destroy their states and shut down these businesses and just not wanting to open, when obviously states like Texas, Arkansas, and so forth haven't been as bad. I kind of, I made a connection when you were speaking today about leaving out their communities and their tax dollars and just wiping them out basically financially. And so my question, and so as I watch this and we watch the stock market and how it's extremely fluctuated and obviously been very high this week. I'm wondering, when you have these communists and these hardcore liberals that control so much of the large corporations in the stock market, what you believe, if your theory is on what they're trying to do to our stock market and our economy on that aspect of it.
Well, there's a good book on that. It's called The Architects of Ruin. It was written by Peter Schweizer, the guy I know. And it's a really good book. I would suggest you read that. They want to become wealthy, but they want to become wealthy by rigging the system in their favor. And at the same time, they want to destroy the system for us. So it's kind of, it may be working at cross purposes, but they've done a pretty good job of making themselves wealthy, and they've done a pretty good job of discrediting the capitalist system as they do it. Yeah. Ma'am, last question.
I'm Janet, and I have read P. Lawrence's book, I believe it's called The 7 Pillars of Wisdom, and he describes basically, that's Lawrence of Reagan, you don't know who P. Lawrence is. He describes how he organized the Arabs to fight against the Ottoman Empire, which was Turkey in World War I. And Turkey also backed the Nazis.
Right.
He also described how the leaders of the various Arab clans sent their sons to be educated in Turkey and to become part of the government and the military. And at the word of the clan leader, they would abruptly turn and take over the military or whatever town or state they were politically active in. Also, there was quite a bit of money that had to be sent to the Arabs who, that Lawrence organized. Britain had to send them money to keep them fighting for Britain. I'm wondering, in your opinion, if possibly the Muslim factor that's backing the communists right now, if they would turn, if one, the money was turned off, or two, they believe their objectives were met, and they might turn in conflict with communists.
I'm not sure I understand that question.
Basically, I'm drawing from the CARE and these other organizations.
Right.
Some organizations are uniting with the communists and the socialists to fight against our free enterprises
Right.
in the free world. Okay. At some point, would the Muslims then turn against the communists and the socialists for their own objectives?
Nope. No, they wouldn't.
They're there forever.
Yes, the rank and file don't get it. The leaders do. Rank and file follow the leaders. Moms tell them what to do, they do it. That's it. No. Won't happen, unfortunately. Well, listen, folks, thanks for putting up with me this long. And it's been really great to be with you. Really enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. Still some books over there if you'd like to get some.
Will you send your slides to...
Yeah, I'll send them to Julie.
Thank you.
Yep.
They were excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.